Hello everybody and welcome to day 4 of the Placement Diary. Today was a very trying day, let me just say. I think it's because I'm still getting into the routine of the nursery, and of course we're only on the 4th day and everything's starting to catch up. I'm sure that once Monday comes around again I'll probably be used to the whole idea, but it's been a struggle so far. But I am enjoying it. That's not a negative thing. It's just a case that I need to adjust my sort of body to the needs of the nursery. So, today, the manager's still not back yet. She will be returning tomorrow. Not sure why she's away. I think it's a personal reason, so I'm not going to pry too much into that. She's entitled to do whatever she likes. You know, she runs the place. They cope very well without her, the staff. They're all understanding of whatever the situation may be. And we did not bad today. We were understaffed, but we called in I say we, I'm considering myself a part of the team now. It's only been 4 days. The staff called in a supply because there was too many children to not enough members of staff. So the supply teacher came in and she was all well and good. She was happy to be there. We took the register as per usual in the morning. The hello song was sung. The hello song today was a lot louder than it was yesterday. Now, originally I thought I was going to be a precursor to the rest of the day. I thought the children will be hitting the roof. They came in hyper, they're not calming down sort of thing, but that actually was not the case. This was one of the more quiet days. It was a lot calmer in the nursery for the most part. Towards the end, obviously, it started to get a bit hectic. Child L, he decided to speak again, the same child that I've been mentioning for the past couple of days. He had his turn to speak in circle time again today, and he seemed a lot more relaxed. He seemed less distracted. He was more controlled with his speech, I think would be the correct way to phrase this. There was less repetition, there was less stammering. I need my bed. It was less stammering, is the words I'm looking for. And he was able to string together fairly coherent sentences, and I think that's pretty good. I don't know if I'm maybe just noticing that from observer bias, because I'm used to hearing him speak a lot by now, but I think that his speech is improving, and that's good news. The only thing I have to comment on though is that once his turn was over, he finished speaking today. He didn't have to be constantly reminded, but when another child started speaking, he did try to interrupt them. And the nursery staff did say to him, like, no, you can't do that, child L. You can't do that. You need to listen to other people. So he stopped talking, which was fine, but then he started sort of playing around. Now, it wasn't so much that he was misbehaving. You know, he didn't think he was getting attention. He didn't think people were looking at him. But judging by his expression, of course, I'm speculating here, but from observer point of view, he didn't seem like he was looking for attention. He didn't seem like he was playing up. He just realised, oh, the attention isn't on me, so I'm just going to go do something else. And that was very strange. I don't believe. Some people may look at that and think there's maybe an underlying medical principle there, but sort of judging on what I've read, sort of the works of Piaget and stuff, talking about the child-centeredness of children that are that young, I think it's maybe just a phase. Now, what I'm going to do to sort of confirm or deny this is I will keep observing Child L. He has become one of my primary sources for looking at language development as the time goes on. So we've spoken quite a few times, and he seems to be building up a small rapport with me. We'll go on to later on in the day where we were doing activities together just in the free play, and he seems to be warming up to me. So it's good to know that I don't think he knows that I'm working, like observing him for that. He just thinks that I'm there, which is good, so he won't feel too pressured, I believe is what I'm trying to get across here. Okie dokie. A lot of things were identified today during snack time. You know, that just constant learning opportunities, like I was talking about with the t-shirt yesterday. One of the members of staff cut a pineapple off at the top of a pineapple so that you could, get inside and divvy it out for snack time. The children wanted to see if they could grow the pineapples. Now, that was a really weird thought, and no one in the room seemed to know the answer. A quick trip to Google probably would have provided us with the answer, but I think one of the members of staff said that she tried to do this before and it failed because something happened. But basically what they wanted to do was take the top of the pineapple, pop it in grass, sun and water, which really surprised me is one of the children in the group said it needs sunlight and water to grow. So there's obviously been a little bit taught to them, in some cases, it might just be this child, to do with the growing of plants. So that's good that that knowledge is there already. So I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to pot the top of the pineapple and just kind of see what happens. Now, most likely nothing is going to happen, but the good thing is it's encouraging the children to experiment. Not every experiment is a success, and the children can become aware of that when they'll grow the plant. Oh no, that's a shame it didn't work, and then they can move on. So that's good. It's preparing them for sciences in the primary school. It was identified that a member of staff is moving on to another nursery. She's going to go and work for the NHS, the nursery there at the hospital. So that's good. So I like this a lot, and I felt that was really relevant to bring up because she discussed it with the children openly, as opposed to letting word of mouth spread. She just directly sat down with the children and says, "I'm going to be leaving in a couple of, I think it's in a few months she leaves. I'm going to be leaving in a couple of months to start a new job where I'll be working with the sick boys and girls in the hospitals." And then the children were okay with it, so that was good. Today I had to observe when I was observing free play today, child F, as I will refer to her, used the word nanas for bananas. Now, that's a classic childhood mistake, but as you're most likely aware if you've had any interaction with children at all, and young children often they get bits of words and then they go with it and then they use that until they're aware of the correct thing. So what I did was I was like, it's a banana, and I kept on saying the word banana like a lot. I don't know if that had any impact, and I don't know if that will correct the child's grammar, so I just continued to say the word banana around her, just obviously subtly, not like banana, 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 banana like that right up in her face. No, just like, are you enjoying your banana? Did you like that banana? What colour is a banana? Do you like, just you get the picture. So when I was doing that, I kept on saying, she just kept on nodding, yeah, like it. So tomorrow, or perhaps next week when we give it a little time to sort of fester, I will go back and I'll say, oh, what's this? And then she'll be like, she'll either show the progression or not. She'll either say nana or she'll say banana. So I thought that was useful. I think it's key for progression in language, and it's nice to see that there might be a change there. To see that I've actually physically made a difference to the way a child pronounces a word would really help me out, and it shows that the nursery environment is a language-rich environment, in my opinion. Okay, Mr. Potato Heads. I kind of went around all the stations because I wanted to focus more on more on resources today as opposed to language development. So I was sitting observing each station of resources just to see what the children were learning. So I picked up on that there was Mr. Potato Heads. What I liked about that is it kind of made them aware of, it was more to do with sort of facial recognition and facial awareness. Where do the feet go? Do the feet go in the arm socket? This was more to do with like the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds. They sat and they knew that the feet would go at the bottom. That the arms would go at the side. Knew the nose would go in the middle. The eyes would have to go up to the top. There's hats. There's mouths. They did all that without prompting. So it's good to know that they're aware of their own face. That they've learned that obviously where it goes, and that's obviously a good start to. Something. I did have a word in my head. I'm very sorry. This is in order to keep this running on a daily routine. I've had to kind of rush this one out a little bit before I go back to doing some more folder work. But you can understand what I'm getting to there. It's to do with like physical, the physical body. It's identifying body parts. That's the nose. That's the mouth. That's the ears. That's the eyes. Things of that nature. I noticed that with using Lego, the children's main objective every time seems to be either to build, something just creative, obviously children using imagination, or to build the tallest tower. That's become a thing. Most children are trying to build like a really huge tower with Lego. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a sort of risk involved at all. I mean, you get a lot of things that have to be sort of risk assessed, but I really liked this. They weren't standing on chairs, they were just putting it on the floor when it was too big for the table. and then they were building it up. And when it fell, I was questioning. I was like, so why do you think it fell? We don't know. Why did it fall? Why did it fall? Just like, well, what do you think would maybe make it a bit sturdier? And then we'd be like, oh, maybe using the bigger blocks on the bottom. Not spoon feeding them the answer, but kind of asking questions that led them to the answer. Not, I don't know if those are leading questions or not, but I wasn't doing the work for them, if you understand. I wasn't saying, do you think that if you put a bigger block at the bottom it will make it more sturdy? No, I was saying what would make it more sturdy and letting them get to that answer themselves. So that helped me develop as sort of directing the children to the answer without completely just giving it to them straight away. And that helped. That was like me developing as a professional, I feel. I enjoy doing that, and I think that's something that I'm going to be able to take back into the classroom, as sort of a transferable skill, if you will. List of transferable skills can be found in the folder upon request. Okay. I also noticed that they're using this new... oh no, that's not right. Magnetic polydrons, they're called now. You can Google this if you know it. It's polydron, like poly, D-R-O-N. They're blocks, essentially. They're just sort of... One's a square and the other one's a triangle, and they're magnetised completely all the way around. They're hollow in the middle, so it's just like the sort of outline of the shape. Now what you can do with these is you can stick them all together and you can sort of mesh them all to make a frame. And then when you've made the frame, you can collapse it up the way and it makes a 3D shape. These were brilliant. Some of the things, I went and spent a lot of time at that station, and some of the things that the children were making were pretty superb. I mean, there was an instruction sheet where it showed you examples of what you could build, but didn't show you entirely how to build them. It's just a picture of the finished product, but not from every angle. So the children kind of had to work it out. It was problem solving. They had to work out themselves how to finish this model. But none of them actually made any of those models. The thing that one of them made was... It was really quite impressive. It was like a diamond. They took all the triangles, they made a net of the bottom, and then they put the net on top of it, just the exact same shape on top of it, and then collapsed it out the way, and then it became like a spinning top. So they were playing with that for a while, and I thought that was incredible. It was crazy to see what they could do, just when they were left to it. This was not prompted by me at all. The only reason I went to said station is because one of the children came across and showed me the model they'd made, and I was like, I need to get involved with this. Now, it did impress me a lot that they were engaging the way they were, because one of the children was 3. One of the other the two children that I was focusing on in that group, one was 3, early 3s. The other was 4. I think he's going to school next year. So I think he was assisting the other child, but when I sat down and watched, they were both pretty affluent in it. They were doing really well. So yeah, I thought that was great. And when I had a crack at making the models myself, it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around. So they've obviously had more time with it than I have, and they all obviously have a greater interest in it than I have, because it's a toy for them. But that prepared them for 3D shape. I mean, that prepares them for shape. I mean, they're going to look if they remember, of course. They're going to look when they're in primary school now, whenever they're shown like a frame of a cube, and they'll be able to identify that folds up, that folds up, that folds up, because they've physically done it before. Okay, so that was really good. Now, I spoke to the deputy manager, but there was only so much information I could really get about how the nursery gets its resources, because that's completely down to the manager and then the board of directors above her head. So I spoke just in, passing conversation, and she informed me that most of the resources are only really paid for by parents, from the fees, which you would understand, but basically what I was led to believe was the nursery gets a budget at the beginning of the year. They're like, this is your budget and this is how much you have to pay for staff, for resources, and for petty cash sort of thing. So I thought that was really good. It was kind of a good starting point to learning about where the resources are coming from, and I'll be able to speak to the manager tomorrow when she's back in. I can kind of grill her about that, hopefully if she's not too busy. And yeah, today we went out for the first time to the back garden as opposed to the front garden for the first play that we had. That was really good. The back garden is situated at the back of the university. The back of the university's student union. That's the word. The problem with that is a lot of people get drunk at the student union and then they throw things into the garden. I don't think, as a student from the university myself, until I was in the nursery, I did not have a clue that that back garden was the nursery's garden. It just has a shed in it. People might have just thought it was a shed area, but basically things are being thrown in there and it's just not really nice. But today we kind of went out, we scouted the area, we cleaned it up a little bit, and then the children can go out in it. What's great about that area compared to the front is it's entirely grass. There's trees, there's plants, there's bushes. There's a giant log that they can walk along. It's just a really good place where they can get really messy and just get really stuck into nature and sort of see everything there. I mean, from the time that we were out there, I had a group of girls that we were over at a plant, and they were making me like pull the leaves off the plant. And then they were identifying, like, oh, there's lots of stuff coming off on my hand, and that was pollen from the leaves. And then they were like, what's that up the top, Ewan? And it was like, they were, seeds that just hadn't sprouted yet. I was like, so what do you think will come out of there? And then they were looking at the leaves and looking at the stem, leading down, and they were like, oh, well, one of the leaves will grow on here. I was like, yeah, so really good. And there was the different colours of the leaves as well. There was one yellow leaf, and I was like, so why do you think that's maybe yellow? Is it because it's not it's because it's a new leaf? And they were like, yeah, so it was one of the newer budded leaves was sort of bright yellow, which was toning down to the green. And we were looking at leaves on the ground. There was brown ones. What's happened to those ones? Those are leaves. Those are dead leaves, and crunching them up, different consistencies, different feels. Just I'm rambling a little bit here, but it was a great experience, I think, for the kids, and they really enjoyed themselves. So it'd be good to make more use of that resource, the back garden as a resource in the future. What happened after that? We came back in and we had some lunch. That was fine. Lunch was just your standard lunchtime. There was story and sleep time. Again, pretty bog standard, not much happening. Apart from one child was sick twice. Now, it seems like there's a bug going around the nursery, so I'm, fingers crossed, touch wood. Hope I'm not going to pick up anything from it. One of the children was sent home on the first day of my placement. One child was sick on the second day, two were sick on the second day, I believe, and two were sick today, but one of them was the sister of the boy who went home on the Monday, who was unwell. So it's probably stemmed from that household, and it's made its way into the nursery, and I think everyone's picking up on it. So I really hope that doesn't, hinder my experience at nursery. I don't want to be taking any sick days. You have to obviously you can make them up at the end, as long as you inform the university and stuff, but I really don't want to have to do that. I want to get in there, I want to get stuck in, I don't want to miss a day. After story/sleep time, we went outside for some more play, which was good. A lot of girls and a lot of boys were outside just playing around, kicking ball. The good thing is, it's kind of good about the outside playground is because it's on such a steep hill, it's a help and a hindrance. It's bad because it's on a hill, children are falling, centre of gravity sort of thing. But the other good thing is you can roll the ball up and then it will roll back down, so it's teaching them about forward momentum, basic physics. Really good, actually. It is a double-edged sword. It's a positive and it's a negative. We went back inside afterwards, and this was where the bulk of my day was kind of happening. I managed to get to supervise the quiet room on my own. Obviously supervised. We're all in the nursery, but that room was specific to me, just supervising the children. Whenever there was a big problem, whenever it was maybe a toilet problem, or maybe they needed to get something from their bags, something like that, I would just go and find a member of staff and they would be happy to help. But I think they needed me to do that because they were kind of, there was a lot of paperwork and stuff that did need to get done, and no one had a chance because of the nursery's kind of short on staff at the moment, just because of absences and the like. Completely out with the control of the nursery, and I was more than happy to help. I kind of hinted at it for a while. It would be good for me to get that opportunity to not really just assert my dominance to the children, but let them know, I am like the ladies that are here, only I'm a man. That was the quote that was used yesterday. So I think there was a new sort of respect level gained would be the good way to say it, between me and the children. They knew if I said your time was up on the computer, they would get off and they would let someone else on. There was never any problems there. Two of the boys were kind of fighting over a toy. When I came down, I was like, if you don't learn how to share the toy, you can't play with the toy, and that was the end of that. So respect, I think, was mutual between me and the children, and hopefully that stays. And I think that's really all I had time for today. It was it was quieter. There was less numbers than normal, but it was pretty hectic. There was a lot going on. And because obviously we're hitting the end of the week, I'm starting to get a bit fatigued. Obviously, because I'm not used to this. I'm not going to say I'm not used to this level of work. I'm used to working hard. I'm no strangers to a hard day's work, but it's mentally draining as well, I think, because obviously you're doing your work there, but then you're also filling up this folder. You're also thinking about reflecting constantly. You're constantly risk assessing in the nursery, and hats off to the women who do this full time. I mean, it's a very, very noble profession, and they're all admirable at their posts. They're all very well held in high regard from parents and children alike. So, congratulations to them for keeping up this standard. I just hope that I can do them justice when I'm here on placement. So that's going to do it for today. What am I going to do tomorrow? Have a big meeting with Jack. Almost. Have a big meeting with the nursery manager, and we'll discuss the possibility of talking more about how resources are ordered, where the money comes from, who has a say. Try and get that segment done, and then tomorrow we'll have my reflection going up here of the day. But at some point during the weekend I'll probably pop up a week 1 reflection. It won't be a long video, it'll probably be maybe 5 minutes long, just me saying this week I enjoyed, and I'll say this week I didn't enjoy, and I'll say why, and then that'll be that. So thank you once again for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.